Welcome to the exam prep video series on AZ-400, designing and implementing Microsoft DevOps solutions. My name is Michael Kentenich and I'm a Microsoft technical trainer. And I will be taking you through this video series today. On your certification journey, you are supposedly here with this video right now, the exam prep video series. And at this point, you should ideally have taken either the corresponding instructor-led training or done some self-study on Microsoft Learn. Note that there is a brand new DevOps Foundations course available on Microsoft Learn, which is a prerequisite for this course, especially if you are new to DevOps in general. You should have strong familiarity with Azure administration or development and have experience with using GitHub in addition to Azure DevOps. After watching this video series, you should plan to study the topics you identified for further learning, and after your self-study, you should proceed with taking the exam. These videos will help you get ready for the exam by doing three things. Learn what the exam will ask you about, figure out which things to study more, and find other resources to help you learn. But remember, these videos are not a substitute for the official Microsoft training or your own experience in this field. These videos will show you what kind of questions to expect, but they won't go into details about the topics and concepts. You should plan to study more on any areas that you feel you need to improve on after watching these videos. This video series has 5 episodes and groups. Each group is weighted, meaning how many questions you'll get from each group in an exam. Pay attention to this group here, design and implement build and release pipelines. Because it has the most questions and covers a lot of topics. But don't neglect the other groups. Every point counts to get the passing score in the exam. Our first group is about designing and implementing processes and communications. And in this group, we will revisit how to design and implement traceability and flow of work, design and implement appropriate metrics and queries for DevOps, configure collaboration and communication. Your exam may or may not include a question in any of these areas. This list doesn't cover everything, but it gives you an idea of what to study. It's important to know what's on the exam and what's not, so that you don't study something you don't need. We won't talk about all these topics in this episode. Some of them will be summarized later at the end. As a DevOps team or even organization, it's important to organize and rank work during the application or project lifecycle and manage the work of specific features, roadmaps, release plans, etc. For the exam, have a solid understanding of GitHub projects and how it integrates with your issues and pull requests on GitHub to help you plan and track your work efficiently. Remember, you can also integrate Azure boards with github.com repositories to support linking between GitHub commits and pull requests to work items. The exam covers, in general, both GitHub and Azure DevOps components. Know that Azure boards can be used to manage software projects with different methodologies, such as Agile, Scrum, and Kanban. Remember that it tracks various aspects of your project, such as work items, issues, and code defects. Be aware of the features and configurations that Azure Boards provides to support your teams, such as calendar views, configurable dashboards, and integrating reporting. Recall that the Kanban board is one of the tools that you can use to visualize work items for the team. Source control and version control are crucial for the success of a DevOps team. Consider the benefits of working with it as a team. Know that your team can stay in sync and drive development by linking work items to branches, commits, pull requests, and builds. This allows you to create pull requests, open commits quickly, and maintain a record of development activities linked to specific tasks. As DevOps teams, when working on one or multiple repos, you need to agree on a Git workflow. What should you consider when evaluating this workflow? Make sure you understand the GitHub flow as one example, where we create a branch based on the so-called mainline, and then we do this without affecting the main branch and give collaborators a chance to review our work once we are confident to get it pulled into the mainline. In DevOps, lots of different metrics are used to evaluate performance, like the deployment frequency or mean time to recovery. Pay attention to these and especially know the difference between lead time and cycle time. Know that lead time and cycle time widgets indicate how long it takes for work to flow through your development pipeline. Work items are essential for organizing and tracking your tasks, your deliverables, and also the progress in a project overall. Consider the best practices for agile project planning, since these can help you detect and resolve issues quickly and efficiently. You can use different types of work items, such as user stories, tasks, bugs, or features, depending on the scope and complexity of your project. Keep in mind that you can organize your team's work in those areas and also assign work to specific sprints or iterations. How can you visualize your team's work in Azure DevOps? Using queries to retrieve lists of work items, and then use these queries as the base for visualizations like diagrams. Make yourself familiar with the available options of widgets, dashboards, and the different query types. Consider these tips when creating your queries. Release documentation is essential for each project. You need to understand why that is and where to store release notes. Git history could be used as a base component of your release notes. Be aware of the different views you have for it in Azure repos. Know that you can store release documentation internally in a project as an embedded wiki or in the codebase, or externally in any document store, or add a release notes field like we have here into your work items template, so it will become a part of every work item that is being worked at. This would be, by the way, a great exercise to practice in a lab that is made available on Microsoft Learn. Acquaint yourself with the integration options to other services. Know that service hooks can be used to send event data from Azure DevOps to any service that has a public endpoint. Be aware of the steps involved, such as specifying the URL, the event type, the filters, and the authentication. Know that integrating Azure DevOps and Microsoft Teams requires setting up a connector in Teams and a service hook in Azure DevOps. But be also aware of the even better way of integrating Microsoft Teams and Slack with applications provided for boards, repos, and pipelines. These give you way more options and control for notifications, summaries, even actions and comments. Other skills from the group: design and implement a strategy for feedback cycles, including notifications and issues. I mentioned GitHub projects and Azure boards already in this episode. It's essential to grasp the capabilities of both when it comes to managing work items and creating a better and more customized experience for your company. When it comes to document a project by configuring wikis and process diagrams, including Markdown and Mermaid syntax, know how to use Markdown to add formatting, tables, images, and more to your project pages, your README files, your dashboards, pull requests, wikis, and so on. Be familiar and try out to add headers, references to work items, media files, and very importantly, Mermaid diagrams. And be prepared to understand the two different kinds of wikis Azure DevOps supports: the provisioned wikis and also the published code as a wiki. In this episode, we revisited how to design and implement traceability and flow of work, design and implement appropriate metrics and queries for DevOps, and configure collaboration and communication. With that, we come to the end of episode 1. We hope you will join us for episode 2, design and implement a source control strategy.